Every law school is going to tell you it's a special law school, but in the case of Vanderbilt Law School, that's genuinely true.
I knew that there were many law schools around the country that would promise great professors, great job placement, but there are very few during my search that I saw that stuck out to me in terms of how would you be nurtured and fostered with your classmates, with professors, with staff, and with alumni.
People who were going to be there for you during those tough final seasons, were going to share their notes with you, who were going to be friends outside of the school itself.
Vanderbilt does a great job at the law school of trying to get first-year students really plugged into the community. I had 3Ls, third-year students, who were mentoring me from the very first day I was on campus.
I think that the reason culture matters is mathematical, right? It's 3 years of a student's life. Part of the calculation should be whether you're actually going to have a good experience as a student because you're committing 3 years of your life to it.
We have the premier community and environment for learning among all law schools in the country. And I realize that that's a strong statement. I have worked with our students every single day for the last 14 years and am constantly blown away at their care for one another and at the relationships that they form that last a lifetime.
Law students are very competitive. I don't think actually as a law student you would want it any other way. But that doesn't mean that you can't be competitive in a way that feels, supportive and mutual, and there's still a sense of community even if people are really, for good reason, trying to do their very best.
I have studied with almost every single one of my classmates in my 1L classes, which are typically your most competitive, and that's only gotten more so the case in 2L and 3L.
I've had really good relationships with friends and been able to learn in a way that was challenging and engaging while not being overly competitive.
So much of collaboration and so much of deep thinking doesn't happen in a vacuum. And I think that the fact that we know and like each other actually makes our scholarship better. And I think the fact that we know and like our students actually makes our teaching better. And that's the kind of thing that I think Vanderbilt really brings.
The faculty is very accessible. To some extent, it's the architecture of the building. We all, between classes, are mixing in these hallways and seeing each other, faculty and students. And we have a faculty that's large enough to provide a very diverse set of curriculum and experiences for the students. So you put those together, and it's really going to be hard to find that experience elsewhere.
Vanderbilt Law students are extremely engaged. They get to interact with their faculty members. They're invited to our faculty workshops where we get to talk about our scholarship. We're engaged with students as we're on the cutting edge of research in terms of our own disciplines, and we invite them in to bring in their own lived experiences and their own knowledge into our work. And so it's a really wonderful place to be for a student who wants to engage on a higher level, not just in the classroom, but outside of it as well.
I'm super passionate about Vanderbilt because these things are true. We are the sweet spot where you get this faculty who's incredibly sought after intellectually, right? Quoted in all the best news sources globally, right? Writing the scholarship that has the biggest impact, and yet they walk in the first year classroom as dedicated as they could possibly be to teaching. That's what you're not going to find anywhere else.
I was able to connect with a bunch of different professors that I had taken courses with, like my capital punishment professor, my criminal procedure professors. I have had also the opportunity to work with our public interest dean, who is amazing.
One of the big parts about coming to law school was clearly getting a job. Not just a prestigious job, but one where I was at home and one where I found that the community and culture was something that fit me. And I told my career services team that I wanted to aim for the stars. And what I found that was unique at Vanderbilt Law School was they said, well, how high and which star do you want to hit?
We have a very well-staffed career services office that provides very personalized attention to students from the beginning of their law school careers to try to help them figure out kind of what path or paths they might want to pursue.
Starting in 1L, I was assigned a career services counselor. So every 1L is assigned to someone, and she helped connect me with other resources and reviewed my resume and my cover letters as I was applying for summer internships.
You're coming in, competing on a curve, and then applying at the same time. But I'd say Vanderbilt being a national law school actually makes this not nearly as intensive competition as it would be otherwise, because students are going to Texas, DC, Chicago, New York, California. It's pretty spread out geographically.
I knew that I could go somewhere and my friends would be supportive, I would have alumni there, and I would also be able to support my friends in wherever they wanted to go.
Law school feels intense. It feels like the only thing students can think about for that very short amount of time that they're here. But if you can engage with what you're doing, if you can enjoy the people around you, if you can find something in your faculty that keeps you going, that makes the intensity worthwhile because we are sort of in it together, then that's a place that I want to be, and I hope it's a place you want to be.